Hello, YouTube. Welcome to DBD News. I'm your host, The Crow Show. I used to do this like a couple years back and enjoyed some moderate success, but I just got lazy and stopped doing it. So my plan is to at least once a week give you an update on what's going on in the world of Dead by Daylight with some gameplay in the background. So let's talk about what's going on in the DBD world right now. So here's a rough breakdown of the topics we'll be talking about today. The Dead by Daylight player satisfaction survey, the party hats code, which has caused a lot of controversy in the community, daily shrine updates during the event. We're going to talk about Made for This and whether it's overpowered. Attack on Titan is leaving the store on July 18th. We'll talk about that a little bit, and a few other little things like which killer is the most hated in Dead by Daylight. So Dead by Daylight has released a satisfaction survey, and it also includes like a really interesting little section where they ask about any existing TV or movies that you want to see in Dead by Daylight. I'm sure they've considered all of them at one point or another, but I think it's very interesting that they're gauging the player interest. So they ask you which ones do you want to see the most and which ones do you want to see the least. So I'm curious, out of the franchises that are listed right here on the screen, which ones do you want to see in Dead by Daylight? It says to pick 3 or up to 3. So which 3 are you picking? Let me know in the comments section down below. So Dead by Daylight released this code, Party Hats, which gives you crowns from a previous event, previous year. Now, you wouldn't think much of it, but a lot of the community got very upset because players who've been playing this game a long time felt like they were ripped off. They felt like they worked really hard to get those crowns in the previous event, and now newcomers are getting the crowns for free. Not everybody was upset about it, though. Some people raised some really good points, like if you played this game previously on console, now you play on PC, there's no cross progression. You can't carry items over from your console to your PC. But overall, I don't see it as a big deal. I rarely see these crowns anyway. Let's stop gatekeeping. Let's let people have fun. Let's let people have these older items. Also worth mentioning during the event, there is a daily shrine update. So you can get access to perks you maybe don't have access for various reasons. Maybe you haven't purchased all of the chapters or unlocked certain characters. It's a good idea to keep an eye out on these tweets from Dead by Daylight that come out every day. Or maybe just check in on the shrine every day to see if there's any perks that you've been waiting to get. If there are any perks you're on the fence about, feel free to ping me on Twitter. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about any suggested perks. And if I get motivated, maybe I'll start posting those on TikTok as well. So the perk Made for This has caused a lot of controversy among the community. It's a teachable perk from Gabriel, the new survivor. You run 3% faster when you're injured. After you finish healing somebody else, you gain the endurance status effect for 10 seconds. Combines really well with perks like Hope or We're Gonna Live Forever. And it's caused a lot of frustration for killer mains and survivor mains. Because once all the generators are fixed and you combine Hope and Made for This, survivors are running really, really fast. And it's very punishing to killers like Trickster or Huntress, who are 110 killers. They move a lot slower than, say, somebody like Trapper, Wesker, Blight, for example. What are your thoughts on Made for This? Do you think it's overpowered? Do you think it must be nerfed? I'm kind of on the fence. I play mostly killer these days. When somebody equips Made for This, it doesn't necessarily make them a great survivor. Now, of course, really good survivors are going to be really great with the perk. That applies to any role, whether you're a killer or survivor. Using Pop Goes the Weasel, you'll have for killer, you'll have varying results depending on your skill as a killer. That applies for survivor as well. So I've tried using Made for This. I've got it in the build you're watching right now. It doesn't automatically make me a great player. I'm actually not a very good looper when it comes to this game. I've got 3,700 hours and I'm still learning. Maybe that's why I play more Killer than I do Survivor. Dead by Daylight has made it very clear, though, that they're not looking to nerf the perk anytime soon. They're going to be monitoring it. And my guess is the behavior way is to just look at perks on a spreadsheet. They'll see that Made for This is getting used quite frequently. They'll use some kind of formula for how often it's used versus how many, like the escape rate for when people use Made for This. And my guess is eventually some kind of nerf will happen. My prediction, and feel free to write this down, favorite this for later, my prediction is Made for This will probably deactivate once all the generators have been fixed. Kind of like Decisive Strike. That way you can't use it with Hope anymore, but you still get Hope value, but you just don't get the super, super fast speed of Hope and Made for This. But for now, it's probably months away from any potential change. And let's face it, Killers had it way easy during the Eruption and Call of Brine meta. They had to do very little to apply tons of pressure on generators using that perk combination. So survivors get a little bit of a helping hand with Made for This. Personally, I think it's a fun perk and I don't see any big issues with it. What are your thoughts? So Attack on Titan cosmetics are leaving the Dead by Daylight store on July 18. So you have until July 18 to buy them. They have two different packs. You can get the Warhammer pack or the Armored pack, or you can get them individually at a discount through Oryx Cells in the in-game store. Now, they did say that the cosmetics are here to stay, so if you've purchased them, they're going to be usable at all times, and you can't get refunds if you purchase them. So yeah, just wanted to give you the heads up. If you want the Attack on Titan cosmetics, now's the time to get them. Another thing to look out for, Dweet, who is a content creator who covers like spoilers and leaks and artwork and mobile DBD. The dev update is coming very soon for the July mid-chapter update. So I believe that includes Nicolas Cage mid-chapter update. I think the PTB is actually maybe next week or the week after for Nicolas Cage. So that's something to keep your eyes out for if you're into spoilers, if you're into leaks. Dweet is a very good resource for that kind of information. And the final thing we're going to be talking about today is the most hated killer in Dead by Daylight. Now think about it for a second. If you really think about like which killer do you hate to face? We all have one or two or a dozen where at the beginning of the trial, if we hear their chase music, their terror radius, we're just like, oh gosh, get me out of here. What's the killer or killers that do that for you? For me personally, it's the Knight and the Skull Merchant. They're both kind of tied for like my most hated killer to play against. They're just so boring. Like the anti-loop factor on the Skull Merchant, the Knight with his guards, and the Knight is very campy, proxy camping kind of killer. I cannot think of any time I've ever had fun playing against either one of those killers. So that's my vote. But I've been seeing a lot of people voting for a different killer, especially on Twitter, and that killer is Wesker. That's kind of a surprise to me. Now, mind you, I do get kind of annoyed, if I play against Wesker, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a row. There are people out there who even call this game Dead by Wesker or Wesker by Daylight, and I kind of see where those people are coming from. I'm playing against a Wesker in this trial. He's probably the killer I play against the most. Now, the thing is, Wesker's a really well-designed killer. He's not super overpowered. His power is actually really fun to use and really fun to play against. So, yeah, it seems like a lot of people in the community are really sick of Wesker. And I really hope behavior doesn't do anything as a result of that, because I think Wesker's kit is in a really good spot. Does not really have any problematic add-ons like, Spirit or Blight. It's just a really well-designed killer. And I have fun playing against him, and I think his voice lines are hilarious. I think Wesker and Singularity have some of the best lines in the game when they're talking trash. Now I'm curious, how do you feel about this? Feel free to sound off in the comments or hit me up on Twitter, because I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree with Wesker as the most hated killer. That about covers all of the topics I wanted to talk about during this relaunch of DBD News, hosted by your boy The Crow Show, home of the smoothest voice on Twitch. I just want to thank you if you've watched and listened all the way through. Please don't slander me for using self-care. It's based. Give it a try. This build, really strong build. It's incredible. It's the new meta. But I'm looking to post episodes like this at least once a week on YouTube, if not more. And I'd love to talk more about community news as well, things that are going on in the community. And at the end of every video, I want to show a highlight of a really cool clip. I went to Twitter and asked people to submit clips, but I only got one response, and that one had like DMCA music. So you're just going to have to deal with a cool highlight from yours truly. So enjoy the clip, and I hope to see you next time. It's almost done. I'm going to stay on it. Okay, you didn't kick me off. Oh, we clutched those! Yeah!